Hi, this is Carson with Dave Smith Instruments. I'm here at Music Star in Cologne, and they've been great enough to have me here to demonstrate the Prophet 12, DSI's newest flagship hybrid synthesizer. Come on and check it out. Each of the Prophet 12's 12 voices is packed with 4 oscillators, including a 5th oscillator, sub-oscillator under the first oscillator. Each of the oscillators comes with the very typical standard analog waveforms, for example, sawtooth, pulse, triangle, and sine. Following that, we have 11 different wavetables in the oscillators that can do some very sophisticated and complex sounds. And while it doesn't seem like 11 wavetables is that much, we've added the ability to mix between 2 wave shapes to the wave left and wave right of the center wavetable. So you can load various different waveforms and mix between them using the shape mod and pulse width button. And it's good to mention that even the analog waveforms, all have shape mod and pulse width ability as well. For example, the square wave is classic pulse width, sawtooth, triangle, and then the sine, which has a few unique properties. For example, an octave up, 1 octave up harmonic, and then a slightly grittier and distorted version of it. So running through basically the other features in the oscillator section, each oscillator can be FM modulated, the high degree of accuracy. The default carrier and operator modulation is oscillator 1 modulates 4, 4, 3, 3 to 2, and 2 to 1, though they can be configured in any other arrangement using the modulation matrix. We also have an amplitude modulation circuit, which does the same as frequency modulation, only to the amplitude. Each of the 4 oscillators can also have a separate glide amount set. And then we have independent oscillator slop per oscillator. Great thing about oscillator slop is that you can just go from very, very subtle amounts to kind of create some subtle buzzing, subtle pulsing between waveforms, all the way to the reason why we got rid of analog synthesizers to begin with, because they'd never stay in tune. So to demonstrate, I'll turn up a little bit of oscillator 2 here. You can see that's just a little bit of slop on oscillator 1. A little bit more, and all the way to the top, and it's really going out, and you can kind of hear it drifting and not sounding great for some people, but for some uses it's actually a really, really fantastic feature. All of the oscillators can also be hard synced to one another in the same arrangement as the FM default FM modulation scheme. There is also, as I mentioned earlier, a 5th oscillator under oscillator 1, which is a sub-oscillator 1 octave down sine wave. Following the oscillator section, we have a brand new character section that is also in the digital domain and allows some tonal shaping and actually complete destruction as well as saturation characteristics. So starting at the top, we have Girth, which provides a low shelf type signal with some harmonic excitation. Let me turn on an oscillator here. So you hear it just subtly there. Again, the character section is immediately following the oscillators, so it is dependent on what signals are going through it from the oscillators. If I were to play a lower note, the Girth would probably have more effect. You hear it getting a little beefier there. Conversely, the error circuit is a high shelf circuit and then adds some harmonic excitation as well and can kind of open up the top end of the signal. So So these are great controls to add a little bit of tonal shaping to really help your sound blend into the mix or really kind of cut through just a little bit more before you even get it into your recording environment, allowing you to use less EQ and really getting the sound to sit in the mix right to begin with. Following the air, we have the Decimation Circuit, which is a bit reduction circuit. Of course, I'm saying circuit, but these are all DSP-generated circuits. Following the bit reduction, we have a drive control, which is a soft saturator. Following the drive circuit, we have a hack circuit, which is the sample rate reduction. It's good to note that most every parameter that I've mentioned thus far can be easily modulatable by an LFO, an envelope, or an oscillator as well. Following the oscillator and character section, the entire audio output is 100% analog. We have our famed 2 or 4 pole switchable, completely resonant low-pass circuit. It also has a dedicated envelope. You can set the key amount to modulate the low-pass frequency envelope amount, as well as a velocity to the envelope amount. Great thing about all the envelopes on the Prophet 12 as well is that they're all repeatable. So you can set the envelope to repeat after the decay portion of the waveform. So let me give you a little example of that. It's also worth noting that the envelopes are all 5-stage envelopes with decay, attack, decay, sustain, and release. Following the analog low-pass filter, we have a high-pass filter, which was borrowed from the Tempest drum machine, though we've added a resonance control as well. And here we have some resonance. So while the high-pass filter is not fully resonant, meaning it can't self-oscillate, you can use the modulation matrix to achieve a self-oscillating high-pass filter. It's pretty crazy sounding. The high-pass filter doesn't have a dedicated envelope. However, you could use one of the auxiliary envelopes available on the Prophet as a dedicated high-pass envelope. There's also a dedicated key amount to high-pass frequency, so the frequency cutoff is tracked to the key number. Following the high-pass filter, we have an analog VCA with all the typical VCA properties: envelope amount, velocity to envelope amount, and then it's a 5-stage and repeatable envelope as well. We also have a pan spread parameter, which will pan each voice progressively left and right sequentially as you play. I'll turn it all the way up here, and you'll hear the voices panning left to right. This can be really, really great for widening your stereo field and creating more space within your mix, or stronger sounding, more dynamic, modulated sounds. The pan spread parameter and all the parameters within the VCA can be modulated as well. Following the VCA, we have a tuned feedback circuit, which is borrowed from the polyevolver synthesizer. This takes a tap off the analog audio path, which is then recalculated back in the DSP area, reducing the number of AD and DA stages within the signal path itself. This keeps the audio signal path as pristine as possible. The feedback control can both be added in positive and negative amounts and can be used for tonal shaping all the way up to complete destruction. So it's a very interesting circuit design and actually tracks the keyboard so the feedback is tuned across the range of the keyboard. Following the feedback path, we have a 4-tap multi-mode delay. Again, this is tapped off the analog audio path so the audio path stays as pristine as possible. Controls for the delay are amount, the delay time, and feedback. It's good to note that each of the delays can be panned as well within the modulation matrix. You can also hear that the delay has some very cool tape-like style modulation sounds. You can get really tweaked out. As mentioned before, there are 2 auxiliary envelopes, envelopes 3 and 4. Each of the envelopes can be assigned to over the 96 modulation destinations in the Prophet 12 synth. They have positive and negative envelope amounts, as well as a velocity to the envelope amount. These envelopes are also repeatable as well. The auxiliary envelopes give you even more control over various modulation parameters as well. They can be assigned to nearly everything on the front panel controls. It's a great synth, and we think you'll like it.